Hi, and welcome to the Contenders Corner Podcast, where we talk everything that is wrestling. I am your host, Jason, and I'm joined by Scott and Matt as we dissect this episode of HardTalk. We are an unbiased show here, and we will go into this episode with an open mind, whether it's good or whether it's bad. We aren't afraid to hit home some honest Thunder's thoughts here. If you're new to this, then please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and comment in the comment section below and share with us your opinion of what wrestling means to you. Stay with us as we have a lot to discuss here on this episode of our talk. YouTube, are you ready? This is the Forbidden Door AEW and NJPW Hard Talk. Right, guys. Introductions. What did you think of the pay-per-view itself? We'll start off with Matt.
Best pay-per-view of the year.
Can you elaborate on that?
Any other company have done pay-per-view so far, it's blown them right out the wall.
I agree. I definitely agree. If you base it off the past 3 months, I can say I'm gonna say that competes with WrestleMania. What are your thoughts on it, Scott?
Well, I've heard every review I've heard about it has been quite stellar. It's very good. I mean, you've got some of the best wrestlers in the world working on the same show. I mean, how can you not sort of put on a good show? I mean, of course it's going to be epic. I mean, when you got workers of that stature and how good they are, I think it's actually harder to put on a terrible show than it is to put on a good one. That's how good these guys are.
If you base it on the guys that they've had, Matt, would you say if they included some of the guys and women they had in the injury list, if some of those were on that match card, would we have been talking about like a WrestleMania pay-per-view here for AEW and NJPW here?
Obviously, like with the injuries and the sudden replacements, like fair play to the replacements. Just like every single match, every single person on the card, just everyone seemed to step up. Like nothing phased them. But like the original plans, like Zack Sabre Jr. was meant to be against Bryan Danielson. That fair play to Orange Cassidy, amazing match. Also, he was facing somebody else, but like Cesaro tried to win that match straight away. It's just like, look at me, I'm the best technical wrestler. I'm going to defeat you straight away, and it's what New Japan are there for. High technical, fast-paced speed. But when the fans chanting the names as well, if all the game behind the New Japan wrestlers. In New Japan, all they're allowed to do is just clap. There's no cheering. All you're allowed to do is just like slow clap. But in the AEW, they're like, whoa, why can't we have this in Japan? Even they were like shocked with how fans quickly got behind them, chanting the name, chanting like in the main event, chanting Ace, Ace, let's go Ace. Just fantastic.
I agree, and to be fair, the fans really gave NJPW some massive pops. And what are your thoughts on that, Scott?
Well, when it comes to New Japan, I mean, they've got a very passionate fan base. Japan love pro wrestling. They probably idolise it more than maybe any other country in the world apart from Mexico. So, yeah, I'm not surprised at the great support. I mean, the question you said earlier, I mean, would have been better if some of the stars that were injured were on it. 100% it would have been. But there was 2 stars there who were missing, who aren't injured. And one of them is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, of course. And the other one being Wardlow. I mean, imagine what they could have done on that card. That would have been incredible. I think.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, New Japan, they love seeing their star there. Okada, Tanahashi, Ibushi, Naito. I mean, they idolise the pro wrestlers like gods in Japan, and that support carries over. Of course, it was always going to be a great show. It was never going to be a bad one.
I've got an unscripted question here, and we're going to knock it out the park, and I'm going to jump straight into this. Based on Cody Rhodes leaving, Matt, with the vision that Tony Kahn had in his head going forward before Cody Rhodes left, would you say, after watching Forbidden Door, are you upset that, are you kind of annoyed that Rhodes has left now with that kind of pay-per-view? If he had stayed, would we have seen a classic go down in some kind of way?
Good question, really. It's just, if Cody did stay, it's like, which is the main, probably top New Japan guys could you put him up against? Maybe he might have took Hangman Page's but maybe it still kept the four-way. Like Cody Rhodes, like Jay White, and maybe some, maybe Kenny Omega might have been involved in that regular four-way if he was cleared. Maybe that was the idea. To have, maybe have Jay White versus Cole versus Hangman Page. Maybe.
Was the intentions? Was there a plan? You think of Cody Rhodes having that AEW title over his shoulder with that kind of pay-per-view going down?
Well, yeah, maybe they could have done. They could have done champion versus champion, maybe with Cody being the headliner. Who knows what their idea was in the past? But looking at it now, it's with the wrestlers that could and should maybe have been on the card. Like I say, it could have been spectacular.
I agree. If we had had Cody Rhodes still there, CM Punk, if he didn't get injured, if Daniel Bryan didn't get injured, many others, Samoa Joe. What about you? What about you, Scott? With that question I asked Matt, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, Cody is a fantastic in-ring worker. Yeah. I mean, the work he did in AEW and also in the Indies before he signed for AEW is probably the best work he's ever done throughout his entire career.
Yeah.
Putting him in that sort of situation, of course, he will thrive. He will thrive against whoever you put him in the ring with. I'd rather have seen him in maybe like a singles match against somebody like, well, if Ibushi can have these issues with New Japan, maybe Ibushi would have faced him, or maybe Naito. I don't know if Naito was injured or not. I think instead of putting him in the title matches, because don't forget, the only belt he could have really challenged for, only world title he could have challenged for on that card was the IWGP Championship, because he wrote that stipulation where he couldn't ever challenge for the AEW world title. So, I'd rather see him in maybe like a singles matchup against one of Japan's top singles guys. Maybe he could even face Zack Sabre Jr., who knows? But yeah, it would have been a great show with him.
It would.
He's a great wrestler.
But it is what it is, and he's over in WWE now. Matt, jumping back to, before we go into the rundown of the pay-per-view, what are your thoughts on WWE asking Tony Kahn for cameos from Jericho, Big Show, and Daniel Bryan?
That's fair play to Tony for allowing it. End of the day, Tony's like us, he's a big wrestling fan. So, why should there be hate between WWE and AEW? End of the day, there's you help each other out. Any of the companies need a favour, obviously Vince is asking Tony for a favour, so, anytime that Tony wants a favour from Vince should say, yeah, go on, I'll have some WWE people do a bit of, let's say, a documentary or something.
Whose call would you say that was? Was it Stephanie McMahon's call? Scott?
I think Vince did. Obviously, he contacted Tony Khan out of respect first, which say they're contracted to AEW, so because he had to, and it's a positive. I mean, no one's taking shots at anyone. I mean, they've come out there to respect John Cena for 20 years in the business. Fair play. I think it's a great move for both companies, really. I think it's a respectful moment. It's a good moment. So yeah, I mean, whether it will lead to anything down the line, maybe not, but at least it's something. At least they're not at each other's throats.
Straight into the pay-per-view, and it opened up with a banger. Straight away, first match. Jericho, Guevara, Suzuki versus Kingston, Yuta, and Umino. What are your thoughts on that match, Matt?
I was quite surprised that they let the Jericho Appreciation Society win, in my opinion. I thought, with Eddie Kingston, it's been getting all the grief and the fireballs and the whiz to try and take him out. I thought, they're going to give Kingston's team the man advantage for blood and guts. And then I thought, well, if the Blackpool Combat Club have the man advantage, then maybe somehow, some way, the result might be Jericho pulls he's sneaky out the bag for his team to win it, blood and guts. But it's the Jericho's team won on the night, so it's going to be a very interesting result for blood and guts.
I would say the match itself was absolutely spectacular. It was a great brawl. It was a fight from the get-go. From when that bell rang, there was chaos, and it was that good kind of chaos. It was a brawl. It was exciting, and it was back to back. Like there was no like them pauses that you have, like it goes slow and then it goes fast. It was literally just non-stop all the way through. Scott, what were your opinions on it?
Correct team won, my opinion.
Yeah.
I correctly predicted the result too. I think because with Blood and Guts being tonight, I truly believe that Jericho Appreciation Society will lose tonight. That's why I thought it kind of made sense to give sort of them that win to sort of like push momentum into their favour. Because obviously they're the heels in this working relationship. So yeah, I mean, what I can judge on is, well, I've not seen the pay-per-view, I can judge on basically the right team win, and in my opinion, yes, they did. I think it's set up Blood and Guts perfectly. They have the advantage, which is a good move. So yeah, correct team won. No complaints on the result at all.
What are our ratings for this match, would you say, Matt, Scott?
Well, I can't really give a rating on the actual match, but all I can say was, yeah, they've got the storyline. The storyline's a fun one. I think the entire thing, including likes of Shota Umino, Minoru Suzuki, being involved, I mean, Suzuki loves to fight regardless. So yeah, I think the storyline's a good storyline. It's probably one of the best storylines in AEW right now, and yeah, everything's finally poised for tonight.
Out of 5, Matt, what are your thoughts on it?
I have a rating, and I also have an opinion for the host to answer. I'd give the match a 4.
Yeah.
And a question for the host. What is your opinion on Eddie Kingston and the new member of Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio?
We haven't got to that bit yet, Matt. Spoilers.
I like the idea of asking me a question, but that is a good question, Matt. I tell you what, but like I was gonna save that for the end. There was during the last match. We'll save that question for the last match, because something went down after the match and Eddie Kingston felt quite annoyed. Did you pick up on that, Matt?
Well, like I say, if we can go save it for the end, I'd probably
because he was arguing something happened during that match, and Eddie Kingston was pissed off with Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley was laughing. Well, yeah, we'll save that for the end. My rating on it and my thoughts on the Jericho Society match. Like what Scott said, the right team won. I thought this was absolutely touch on point. To have this at the beginning was absolutely fantastic. To start off the show as well, it was an absolute classic. It was a banger. I'm going to give this a 4. I agree with Matt on that one. It's a strong, solid 4. And correct team won, as what Scott said. And to be honest, it was perfect match to open that pay-per-view. We'll move on to the next match. Which is Ropikindi Vice versus United Empire versus FTR. We'll start off with Matt on this one.
absolutely out of this world match.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a question here, because some people felt like it was... They were annoyed that... what's his name from FTR? He pulled his left shoulder. Daz. What's his... Dax Harwood.
Dax Harwood,
yeah. they're saying there was annoyed with how he jumped out of the match and then he come back in later on. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
I thought at first, I thought he was actually injured, and I think that even after the match was over, I think he has got a legit injury with his shoulder.
Yeah.
So to say like, oh, it's part of the storyline, I just think recently with AEW wrestlers, I think they're putting themselves on the line more, and this is where the big injury list is coming for AEW.
Yeah.
Whether it's to do with the ropes are being tightened forward, or whether it's the hard floor in the match, I can't really say. So all these wrestlers putting the bodies on the line. So, the same with like members of FTR. I just thought, fair play to him. He didn't want to lay his partner down, get injured with his shoulder. He just wanted to carry on, get the win for his team, and go from there, really.
But more importantly than anything, did you get the prediction right?
Yes, I did.
So did I. So, that's the most important thing. Just want to get out of the way. But, again, I mean, FTR are just an incredible tag team. I mean, if you are picking up an injury, you've got to manage it. I mean, he needs to basically communicate to the others, obviously subtly, that he's struggling, that he's not at full strength. So they've got to work something into it, because they can't expect him to go doing like brain busters and power bombs, everything. He hasn't got the power to sort of get people up. So it's all about match management. You've got to manage the situation you're in, and it's worked because FTR, they got the win. They are the best tag team on the planet. Anybody who says the Young Bucks are, I personally disagree with every single one of those comments. There's no better tag team that's better than FTR, and right now they are getting the accolades they deserve.
And FTR join the group, the few tag team. They join a group of elite tag teams, the few tag teams that have gone from different brands, different shows, and accoladed those titles. They join Road Warriors, the Dudley Boys, and many others who have gone from show to show, back to back, won tag teams from different brands. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
What was that? Sorry, it's kind of breaking up a bit.
FTR join the group of few tag teams that have gone from different brands and won the tag team titles from each brand that they've gone to. They join the likes of Dudley Boys and the Road Warriors.
Well, when you're in WWE, really, Vince had the golden ticket to what they've become today. So, if you look at them now, and with the ideas that Vince had for them, you can understand why he left when he did. Because if he'd still been on Monday Night Raw with Vince's ideas, they'd be dressing up like God knows what. With them stupid costumes that Vince had for them. They'd look like an absolute joke. Which we all know.
Yeah.
They put 5-star matches week in, week out.
Yeah.
And which is why the companies are picked up on, and they're like champions in 3 different companies now.
Of AEW, has Tony Kahn made a big steal out of FTR, would you say, Scott?
Oh, absolutely. PPV. I mean, that they are workhorses. They are the best tag team in the world. And right now, if I was Gallows and Anderson, the Impact Tag Team Champions, and if I was the NWA Tag Team Champions, I'd be very nervously looking over my shoulder. Hell, right now, if I was the Usos, I'd be looking over my shoulder right now, the way the FTR are going. So, I mean, they are on an incredible roll, and they deserve it. I mean, I did temporarily flirt with the idea of United Empire winning, but they were never going to, and FTR, they deserve what they're getting. This is years of hard work. They have actually prioritised tag team wrestling over singles, and they can both go pretty well in singles too. So it just goes to show how great the pair of them are. Really, absolutely incredible. I can't praise them enough.
Yeah, and just like you said, FTR is as over as anyone else on this entire card. The crowd absolutely loved Wheeler and Harwood on the night, and again, the best team won on the night. And just like what you said, Matt, again, absolutely incredible. The match was fantastic, and like what you said, Scott, FTR is probably one of the best tag teams on the planet right now. I've got another one for FTR. Would you say they are as good as the Usos, Matt?
At this precise moment, I'd say yes. Yes, they are
Better than the Usos.
Yeah.
100%.
Moving on, we got Pac versus Miro versus Malachi Black versus Clark Connors for the AEW All Atlantic Championship. First, before we go into this match, I've got a question. Was the title unnecessary, Scott?
That's a good question. In my opinion, probably yes. Sometimes you don't need a load of championship belts. I think if you've got so many championship belts, they kind of lose a little bit of prestige, because the big roster and only a short number of belts. It means that it'll be an achievement to win these championships with them being small. I mean, that's why I do the exact same thing when I book in FCW. I do the exact same way. Sometimes too many titles can sort of blurs the vision a little bit, where you've got, obviously, because they've got an overinflated roster. They've got quite a lot of talent on their cards, so yeah, you probably need championship belts to accommodate all that talent, but sometimes I don't think you really need it.
What about you, Matt? Was the title unnecessary?
Well, with my prediction, I obviously like the eventual winner. No, I don't think it's not necessary, because, fair play to the winner. But my prediction was Miro, due to the comeback storyline that he had. But luckily for me and him, he didn't pull off the win.
Well, fortunately for me, Pac did.
Yeah, I had Pac. I had Pac also to win this match. If it wouldn't have been Pac, for me, it was going to be Aleister Black. But I do get what you're saying, Matt. Even if three of those would have won it, I would have been still happy either way. But what are your thoughts of the entire match, Matt?
Oh, it's just like, non-stop battle. All four of them gave them their all. Like you say, any of them four could have pulled out the victory. But, at the end, it was the Black Mist and Malachi Black that to the right side, off the top rope, you know, one, two, three, really. That's fair play. He's been day one original. He deserves it.
I gotta say, this match was literally like it ticked all the boxes for an absolute great fatal 4-way. It felt like an Attitude Era classic. You know what I mean? But Clark Connors was an underdog in this match. He was quite small, and you wouldn't have expected it. But like literally, like Clark Connors gave everything for these three men, and he even brought the fight to Miro at some point. This match had a little bit of everything in each one of these men, and I tell you what, man, every one of those guys gave each other a fucking, sorry for my language, a fight. It was like a death match. You know what I mean? It felt like a death match in some places, and literally, and goes down to Connors at the end where he puts Miro through a table with a spear. Absolute fantastic, and the crowd went nuts for it. The crowd chanted his name. Pat taking him out put a stop to that after hitting Black with a 450. Pat locked Connors with a brutalizer to get a win in the end. And I tell you what, man, absolute banger. For me, it was enough. Third with 3 matches in, you know what I mean, and the show is still giving us more. You know what I mean. Like I thought, 3 matches in, it's gonna slow down, but no way. AEW and NJPW are giving us more. What are your thoughts on it, Scott?
Well, multi-man matches usually excite because there's usually so much going on. You don't know what part of the arena to look at. One minute you're looking at 2 guys going at it on the top rope, but then you've got another guy hitting a big move in the middle of the ring. It's just, I always like a good multi-man match. There's always a bit more to it. There's more action to fit in. It's always jam-packed. There's usually a pretty decent pace to them. And, yeah, I think, and don't forget, Clark Connors wasn't actually supposed to be in this match. He was supposed to be Tomohiro Ishii. And then he got injured, which is another injury. This Clark Connors come in, done a good job, but yeah, fair play to Pat.
A question for both of you here. Like AEW are ticking the boxes. They're ticking the boxes with this pay-per-view. They're ticking the boxes with their tag team, with their multi-man matches. This is what WWE used to do back in the day in the Attitude Era. They used to throw out multi-man matches, fatal 4-ways, battle royales. They used to give us hardcore matches. They used to give us tag team matches. AEW are giving us that. WWE are the backsliding. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on it, Scott?
Because they're so focused on pushing pro wrestling. I mean, we all, WWE have been very vocal about the fact that they're not really pro wrestling, they're sports entertainment. Whereas AEW actually focus on the wrestling. You know, I'm not saying that WWE are particularly wrong for their approach, but sometimes I think fans appreciate it more when you actually see more in the ring. You see more investment being put in the storylines surrounding the stuff going on in the ring. Whereas WWE is more a bit like, it's more like it's a bit like
it's like
Big Bang Theory.
Matt said this to me a few weeks back. It's like AEW they give us more of the wrestling, and they give us like short, brief promos. If you know what I mean. Like the promos feel like how it was back in the day. It was more like 3-minute promos. Now it's like WWE have got an half an hour promo. What are your thoughts on it, Matt?
Yeah, totally agree with like what you say. It's say, like, obviously this is like a new championship as well.
Yeah.
In, you know, multi-man matches. I've got opinions for this as well. With that being a new championship and how Tony Kahn likes making new championships for the company at the moment, could you see, let's say, an AEW style hardcore championship to eventually create more multi-man matches? Do you actually see that happening?
Matt, yes. Every day of the week, yes. Man, I endorse Tony Kahn to give us an AEW Hardcore Championship, or let me now. They've got a roster. They've got guys there. You know, like what you said weeks ago. Like what you and Scott have said in this podcast, in previous podcasts. They've got wrestlers in there that throw out. They give us everything. You know, you could have a Darby Allin giving us a showdown in the hardcore match. Hear me now, Matt. I'll tell you what, man. I think fans would be. They'll be like, oh yeah, it's another title. But I guarantee you, majority of the fans would be loving. They'll be buzzing. They literally would be buzzing. Scott, what are your thoughts on what Matt's just said? Would you want another title?
I'm gonna play party poopery. I'm gonna say no.
No.
Purely because again, we don't really know if we 100% really need it, and also it's part of an era in wrestling that has kind of passed by. Hardcore-based wrestling was really big in late 90s, early 2000s. Wrestling has now evolved into. I mean, yeah, you still get hardcore-related matches, but do we really need a hardcore-related title? I'm not really sure if it's 100% needed. I mean, it's basically. I know a lot of people still love and miss the Attitude Era, day by day. But sometimes I think you need to realise that the Attitude Era has been and gone. I mean, this is a new phase of professional wrestling. I mean, sometimes people sort of like move on from what's happened in the past and appreciate what we're getting now.
Would you want another title, Matt?
I would probably say it needs more on the women's side, maybe. More than the men, but yeah, I can probably see more championships coming soon. Yeah.
If this was WWE doing it, would people be moaning, going, "We don't need another title. We don't need more of that. We don't need more of this." Scott.
I think regardless of what company it is, sometimes too much. It's not about quantity; it's about quality. And sometimes you don't need too much, because I think the less titles there is, the more prestige there is about them. Because it means that if you're actually earning a shot at one of these championships, you're doing something right. Your work is being recognised by the company and the directors, pushing you towards that title. The more belts there is, it's like people might get sort of like lost in the shuffle. Thinking, I'd rather just have any belt, any of the actual big name belts.
For me,
the world title and a single title, that's all you really truly need, really.
For me, that all Atlantic title looks like it should have been there in the first place. You get what I'm saying? The title looks awesome. If they had kicked out the TBS title, if they had kicked out the TNT title, maybe this All Atlantic title would have had more appreciation. Would you think so, Matt?
Well, I think where you get that going with wrestlers coming in for like an open challenge.
Yeah.
Against the champion, like maybe. Like we've had, like with the PPV, we've had, Forbidden Door, we've had people coming in from New Japan. So could this championship kind of open that a bit? Have a couple of New Japan wrestlers or wrestlers coming around the world. Is that their idea behind it? I don't know.
Would you appreciate it more if that was the idea, Scott?
I'm all for open challenges of people coming. Cody did it during his very first run as TNC champion. I mean, Eddie Kingston came in because of an open challenge. So too is absolute Ricky Stark. You had Warhorse get a match at the championship. So I'm fully behind it. But I personally wouldn't get rid of TNC or the CBS. I think I haven't got a problem with them. They are the actual single. They are the belt just below the world. Every company in the world has them. So I think it's. Yeah. I think they are actually quite important to where AEW go. I mean, it's a very important part of AEW. AEW is.
I'm gonna rate this match anyway a 4. What about you? And what about you, Matt and Scott?
Sorry, what match are we on again? Still the Fatal 4-Way, aren't we?
The Fatal 4-Way, yeah.
Yeah, well, 4 great guys competing, great match, right person won, I think. So yeah, it's all good. I'm excited to see where it will lead in the future. So yeah, quite highly rated for me.
What about you, Matt? Out of 5.
I'd say
Then we have the Bullet Club versus the Dudes with Attitudes. We'll start off with Scott with this one.
First match of the night I got wrong. This match was I went for Bullet Club in this match purely because they are the Bullet Club. They're one of the best factions in wrestling. Period. I mean, you got this Young Bucks teaming with, it wasn't Hikuleo, I think it was El Phantasmo, was it? I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, against obviously Dudes with Attitudes, which I wonder how many people made the reference to the tag scene of Shawn Michaels and Diesel in the 90s, which is also called Dudes with Attitudes. But I wonder how many people made that reference, but yeah, I mean, it's another opportunity to get some great wrestlers in from New Japan. I mean, Shingo Takagi. I mean, a great star in Japan who actually broke the glass ceiling, got that big opportunity at the beginning of last year when Will Ospreay got injured and gave up the belt. Shingo's actually pushed into that picture against Okada for the championship. So, yeah, it's just another opportunity to get some great wrestlers onto the card. And we've already seen countless pictures of Sting become a meme. I thought he did in that match.
What are your thoughts on this match, Matt?
I agree with Scott. I thought the Bullet Club would have won.
Yeah.
With being a big name faction. But, Sting, come on, man. It's 62 years old as well. And jumping off the entranceway like a madman. Oh, respect. Absolute respect to the guy.
I thought you was going to say something what Pate was going to say then. He's 65 years old. He shouldn't be jumping off the off. I'll tell you what, man. I'm going to give this to Sting. Absolutely incredible. He's 62 years old and he's jumping off a stage. Literally, the crowd were literally loving it, man. Carry on, Matt. Carry on.
Yeah, like you say, his old school entrance, he's there in the rafters, like the good old days. So they like to go out like God, where is he? Why is he coming out? And then the lights come back on, and he's there jumping on top of like the good old days.
It was brilliant.
That's just magical.
That was a pop. That was a WCW pop. That was literally. It was good to see that go down. It was crazy. The match for me. Whatever his name is. Yeah. I've never seen him wrestle, but God, he's a very funny character. Definitely. The match for me was highly entertaining. Just like what Matt said, like fair play to Sting. The opener of this match couldn't have been any more perfect. It was literally like a huge throwback to the old classic days of Sting, appearing in the rafters and then jumping on top of him from the rafters. Absolutely great. It was perfect. The match itself was literally an absolute classic. It was a banger. It was back to back again with 4 matches in, and AEW haven't even slowed down. The pace hasn't slowed down. The pace is still on it. Everyone is still like literally giving everything to make this pay-per-view a banger. And boy, oh boy, every one of these men did absolutely just that in this match as well. They gave everything for the crowd. And to be honest, man, we're halfway into this pay-per-view, and I'll tell you what, not one bit did I even turn it off. I've watched this pay-per-view about 4 times, and I'm going to watch it again tonight. Scott, what are your thoughts on Sting, the beginning?
Well, I've seen the pictures. I mean, the guy is he's incredible. I mean, he can still do what he does. I mean, for me, him and Darby Allin, they're just a perfect match, aren't they?
Yeah.
Got the experience behind Sting, the young, fearless warrior in Darby. It's just brilliant seeing Sting, you know, as a professional wrestler. It's incredible, and I hope there's still a little bit of time left in him yet. Yeah. I think there still is a couple of years in him yet. Who knows?
There's still a few more years of him jumping onto people off that entrance. I hope they do that again at some point in another pay-per-view. Matt, to wrap it up, what are your thoughts on the match itself rating?
Bit of a tough one, really. This match sounds harsh, but I'd probably give it like 3.5.
A 3.5. What about you, Scott?
I'm actually quite happier they won. Even though I predicted the young Bullet Club to win, I'm actually glad that Team Sting won. It's sort of a bit of retribution. Obviously, they would have preferred it to be against Red Dragon, which I think is definitely a match that will happen at some point in the future. We are going to see Sting and Darby versus Red Dragon. But yeah, good on them for getting the win, I'll say.
I'm going to go with Matt on this one. I think it was a fun match. If you're an everyday wrestling fan and you know you're new to AEW and you've watched this, you're going to get everything out of this match. It was absolute a throwback to the 80s with Sting jumping, appearing in the rafters and then jumping onto these men from the entrance. You're getting everything out of this match. It was fun. It was exciting. It was back to back. These men gave everything. Even Sting. Come on, the guy is 62, just like what Matt said, and he's still going and he's giving everything. Like he's still 27, 26. I would agree with Matt on this one. I'm going to give it a 3.5. But again, it's a solid 3.5 for me. It was fun, back to back. It was a brawl, and again, it was everything you would want out of this match. If you're a hardcore wrestling fan, you know, if you're an AEW fan, or if you're new to AEW, you're gonna get everything out of this match, and you would love it. The next match was Thunder Rosa versus Tony Storm, and I've got a question for you, Scott. Was it good to have this match at number 5?
Well, if you look at general pacing of how AEW book their shows, I mean, I don't know if you actually have noticed it or not, I don't know, but they usually leave women's matches till roughly about the second hour Dynamite, roughly about a match or two before the main event. So it was actually I think it was the only women's match.
It was, yeah.
On the card. So I think it was good that these two women were getting the chance to shine. So yeah, I mean, to me, middle of the show is probably the right place to put it.
Okay, another question. I'll ask you again this same question, Matt. Scott. This is for you, Matt.
Yep.
With it being, you know, AEW, NJPW Forbidden Door, just like what Scott said, we're 2 hours into this pay-per-view already. With match number 5, would you have said, well, can we have a woman from NJPW into this match?
You could possibly make it a triple threat match. Yeah, totally.
Would you have given more into this match to make it more solid, or was what Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa good enough for this pay-per-view?
In a way, I think it kind of felt a little bit rushed.
A little bit.
You know, Tony Storm's going along like a little bit of a decent run, and then just to throw it into the title picture, you know, 2 weeks before the pay-per-view, I thought could have had a little bit more of a rivalry going on with Britt Baker, but to have a win like before the pay-per-view and then go right here. Next week we got the pay-per-view for the championship. Yeah, could have gone a little bit longer in my opinion.
A little bit longer, but what I am going to say first of all, before I give my take on it, a lot of people in the past few days have said that ex-WWE stars in AEW at the minute are not getting enough from being in AEW. But what do we have here, Matt? Thunder Rosa versus Tony Storm for the AEW Women's title.
Yeah.
Like,
really, you know, like you say, if they go with like ex-WWE, it's like you got another new one there, like an ex-WWE. You've got what used to be called that Ember Moon. It's like 2-3 matches, and then like automatically disappeared all of a sudden. But you know, why didn't just, you know, fair enough, she might have took the loss, or she didn't have to take the pen. But you know, you could have put her in the match, or you know, someone else take the pen. It doesn't have to be her to take the pen, but at least she would have been involved in the match.
Scott, would you say ex-WWE stars are having the same treatment than there was in WWE now in AEW? Are these fans' argument right?
I think they're being used better in AEW.
They're getting TV.
Yeah, because you've got shows like Dark and Dark Elevation, you're seeing them go over the local towns, which does boost their win percentage. Whereas in WWE, if you didn't make the main event, if you weren't on the card of either Raw or SmackDown or NXT or whatever, and you weren't on the card of main event, you're basically in catering, which is why Britt Baker did that sort of dig towards Ruby Soho. Whereas Ruby, she only lost a couple of matches. Don't forget, she's still sort of more popular in AEW. I mean, who'd have thought she'd have beat Chris Statlander in the Owen Hart Cup? So I certainly never. I think Ruby is still someone I think that is well pushed. I think she's on the fringes of the title picture, even though she's not actually won them. She's still on the fringes. There's some good talent there, so I wouldn't say it's exactly the same as WWE at all. No.
I agree with you. Like, for these fans to say that ex-WWE stars are hanging around in Dark, I agree with you. Like, it adds to their win potential, and again, it's like you're hanging around in Dark, you're hanging around in Revelation, and you're potentially earning your spot, if you know what I mean, for like potential championship matches. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you're beating local talent, not exactly like big stars, but still, it's all about these matches are designed to boost the people on the main roster.
Yeah.
If you make a new star out of one of these local talents, then fair play. I mean, that's it's a good thing. So yeah, I think it's all designed to sort of keep pushing the rise of the people on the roster and keep giving them wins and keep them fresh, keep them in the title picture.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this match, Matt? Are these fans wrong to say that the ex-WWE stars are being treated the same as they were in WWE, but in AEW? What's your opinion on it?
I don't think it's being treated badly in a way. It's just obviously you've got ex-WWE people there now. They try and rotate.
Yeah.
Week after week. As for the only women's match on the card, I don't know how you probably feel, but maybe they could have added a TBS, championship match. Maybe you could have extended the unbeaten run against a New Japan woman. It's there.
Yeah, even if they wanted it just one match, I would have added a woman from NJPW into this match to make it a triple threat match and to boost this match a bit more, to give it, a bit more oomph. Don't get me wrong, Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm, they blew that roof off. It was a great match. It was good. But again, it felt rushed in certain places. Like, I agree with Matt to a certain degree there, but I think it was Tony Storm gave her the fight, man. She gave her the fight. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
Yeah, like I said, it did feel a bit rushed, storyline wise. And then, now that Tony Storm's got a second loss, it's like, where does she go from here? Here now, after this week, Baker, does she go back to that feud now, or does she go on to someone completely different? Does she try to go after the PBS championship now? Is she the one that's going to defeat Jade Carter? She's like 33-0. Someone on that roster now has got to knock her off this very long streak that's becoming, because sooner or later she's going to become like in the 40s, and then she'll be like 49-0, on her way to half a century wins, and then that's what I would consider going. It's going to be 49-0. Going to be like, there's no one left, and then someone out of nowhere through.
Who's this Thunder Rose you on about?
Jade Carter. I think that should have added a new one to the card. I think.
Don't get me wrong, just like what you said. But in terms of, I think she could have a rematch potentially down the line. I think there's room for a rematch with Tony Kahn, Tony Storm, and Thunder Rose at some point. We're not going to get it just yet, you know what I mean? But I tell you what, that match left some ripples. That match left some ripples, and I tell you what, Thunder Rose, whether it's not now, whether it's not in a couple of months, she will not be champion. It left some ripples, Tony Storm, man, she gave her the fight, man. She gave her the fight in moments of that match. You could see Tony Storm. It looked like she was injured, and I think that's why, in the end, for me, the victory was given to Thunder Rosa. Would you agree with that, Scott?
I think Thunder Rosa was always going to win that match. Personally, I think Tony. It's still relatively early into Rosa's run.
Yeah.
And I think, especially after she defeated Britt Baker, with the best women's champion so far. So, I mean, it's good that they actually put it on. And, yeah, I also agree that they could have used a star from Stardom, maybe, to come over and basically fulfill match, because he has worked with the Japanese side before when Shida was champion. So yeah, I think Thunder Rosa was always going to win that match, and I think there's still a lot more that Tony can do outside of the title picture. There's some great feuds she could have, people like Nyla Rose.
Definitely. Most definitely, just like what Matt said. But I think she could still hang around in the women's title picture. Whether it's not now, I think there could be another rematch with Thunder Rosa, potentially down the line, or even what Matt said, she could go straight for Jade Cargill. What is your rating for this match, Matt?
I would give it a 3.
A 3. I'm going to give it a 3.5, and it's a strong 3.5 for me. It felt rushed, and I think in the end there was a slight injury from Tony Storm, and I think that's where my rating is lingering at the minute. What about you, Scott? What's your rating for this match?
I don't think it was ever going to be seen as like a wow match. Yeah, it was sort of it was rushed a bit, and yeah, I suppose it won. I can't see it being scissors, brother. So I suppose where you guys have put it is probably fair. Did you get that one right well, Matt?
I did go for Thunder Rosa, yeah.
Yeah, so.
I went for Tony Storm for this one, but yeah.
Okay, maybe you best not join the predictions league then.
And the next match, the comedy prime here. Orange Cassidy. Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy versus Will Ospreay for the IWGP United States Championship. We'll start off with Scott again. What are your thoughts on this match? Going the backstory and then going into it.
Potentially, I thought this was definitely gonna be great. Cassidy has missed the last few months with shoulder injuries he picked up at Revolution, so he's always gonna get a pop wherever he goes. And to come in and work with someone like Will Ospreay, I thought it was a great way of bringing him back in. I mean, I don't think there was ever any danger of Ospreay losing. But Orange Cassidy, you just want to be his mate. He just walks around, hands these pockets without a care in the world, but yet, that guy can wrestle.
I agree.
It was a good build-up with Ospreay coming on Dynamite and Rampage a few times. A shame that they lost both those six-man tag matches, but it's just something that you'd love to see. Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy, just brilliant.
You know what? I agree, man. Like, if we rewind 3 years ago when I first started watching AEW, I was giving Orange Cassidy a lot of stick. I was like, what the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean? And then years progress. He's had some great matches. He's funny. The matches are just funny. Like what you said. He's like, it comes off like he's like a proper chill bloke. He's taunting the wrestlers in the ring, and then next minute, you know, it's like he switches and turns it up. The matches are just incredible. He's had matches with the likes of Miro, Chris Jericho, you know, some fantastic matches. What are your thoughts on this, Matt?
Very hilarious match. The last second kickouts, Orange Cassidy, fast to the end. Fair play to the guy. Kept battle away. Never say die attitude. And like we discussed with me earlier, maybe he does deserve a championship opportunity, but in my opinion, I don't think the World Championship is the place for him. But maybe along the lines of All Atlantic Championship or the TNT Championship might be in the future for him.
I asked this question, Matt, earlier, Scott, and I'm going to ask this to you. With the works that Orange Cassidy is producing at the moment, he's produced some great entertaining matches. His matches are hilarious, they're funny. Could we potentially see, if given the opportunity, would you want to see the world title on his shoulder?
I think there's worse people you can put it on, but I think I agree with Matt by saying that maybe the World Championship would escape him about his career. I think he's definitely a singles champion at least, but I think he's a character that really doesn't really need championship. But obviously, it'd be nice to see him win it, but I just don't think at the moment he needs to be a world champion, because he's going to be loved regardless of what he does. But as for the world title, I think it's a no. I think that's right.
What are your thoughts on the rating of this match? We'll start off with Scott.
Well, I can only judge basically what I've seen in regards to build up, and yeah, seeing Ospreay on that show is always gonna be great. Yeah, I've got the prediction correct, so that's another good thing. So yeah, I think it was always gonna be one of those matches where you think, this might actually be better than it looks. It's a lot better than it looks on paper. So, yeah, I think it was always going to be good. I would like to have seen a little bit more build-up between the two of them, maybe like a face-to-face promo battle between the two of them. But, yeah, I mean, it's what it is. And yeah, I think it could have done another week of build-up, I think. But, yeah, still good.
What about you, Matt?
I want to give it a bigger rating than it should. But I'd give it a 4.
A 4. Yeah, I agree with that one. I have it at 4. I would like to give it. What? Sorry.
Oh yeah, that was like the most easiest prediction I could have done all night.
Yeah.
I voted Ospreay for this one. It would have been funny. It would have been funny if it was Cassidy. But I tell you what though, he gave the bloke the fight, man. He brought the fight to Ospreay. It was an entertaining match. It was fun. It was hilarious in places. And I tell you what, like, if you're new to AEW, you're new to wrestling, you brought this pay-per-view, you've got your money. You literally were giving your money. Like, loads of these matches, they worked. They worked their arse off. Sorry for my language, but they worked the butt off and literally handed great matches to the fans, man. I'm gonna give this a 4. It's a solid 4 for me. Like I said, it was hilarious in spots. It was back to back. It was crazy. Again, it's like we're 6 matches in, and AEW haven't even the pace, the crowd, like they're still going mad. They're still going mad, and like it ain't even slowed down. The pace is still going on. It's electric. Yeah, for me, it's a big 4. It's a strong 4. I would like to rate it higher, but it's a strong 4 for me. We're gonna go into the next match, which is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Claudio Castagnoli. I'm gonna ask this to Scott. Who did you have to, like, before it would have been Claudio? Who did you think it was going to be?
I said Claudio Castagnoli.
You said Cesaro.
I think he was. Yeah, I went for Claudio to sort of be his pick, because I think he was the name that was being thrown around social media groups now.
Yeah.
He was the most said name. Yes, and it made sense. So especially when Danielson it was somebody that he knew. Well, they know each other quite well. Technical wrestler, which he does quite well, and also somebody that can beat the hell out of Chris Jericho, which he probably will do quite well. I mean, he's a fantastic wrestler. He's Claudio, and the fact that he's here, I know a lot of people will come in saying, "Oh, he's just another ex-WWE guy." I've already witnessed one person in particular say that, but it's just. I mean, what else would you rather do? Have him sit at home doing nothing? I mean, he's in a company that
was he underappreciated in WWE?
Yeah, I think he was that. If you judge it by in-ring ability alone, the guy's a multiple world champion. But because in WWE, they're more interested in like the entertainment side of things, and maybe Claudio wasn't as sort of, just because he wasn't as good at holding a microphone in his hand, saying, "Look at me, I am awesome," or "Acknowledge me," just because he wasn't coming out with things like that, he wasn't viewed as a big star. And sadly to say, his best runs in WWE were part of tag teams, which is quite sad, really.
Yeah, it's a shame, and I do agree with you. I think he was very, very underappreciated. I would have liked to have seen more passion from WWE to at least protect the guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's a technical wrestler. You don't see that a lot in WWE. But for AEW to pick up on the guy, to at least acknowledge him, I appreciate that, and I hope they put him in a place a lot better than what WWE has said, and how they treated him. Just like what Scott said, you know, it's a shame to say, and he was more appreciated in factions and in tag team work. What is your take on this, Matt?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. Really, his best time in WWE was probably when he was in the tag team called The Bar. Really, I think that's his best time in WWE, in my opinion.
Could WWE have done more, Matt?
With him as a single star, like, yeah, 100%. That's Scott said. He should have been like 2, maybe 3-time world champion by now. But he got very underused, in my opinion.
I agree with you on that one. Totally agree with you on that one. Moving from WWE, what are your thoughts on him returning?
I think it's slightly unlikely now, considering the fact that he's working for a company that specialises in pro wrestling. I think this will probably be where he comes out of himself, comes out of his shell, and just be more like great wrestler that we all know that he is. I think he will thrive here. I'm already thinking about the matches he can put on against some of the top wrestlers. I mean, Kenny Omega, Pac, Malachi Black. I mean, even the people who've not worked, guys like Hangman Page. I mean, even guys like Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta, Randy Rice. I mean, some of them actually put on with them. Incredible. Santana and Ortiz, Eddie Kingston. Although there is a genuine beef between them. But yeah, that's probably why Kingston was angry at Moxley, like I said earlier, because there is a genuine beef between Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli. They don't like each other, sign on the Indies. So yeah, I mean, the matches you could put on, especially Daniel Garcia, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks. I mean, possibilities are endless. I think he will be a better fit for AEW than he would with WWE, I think.
What about you, Matt?
The story was, as Scott said, that the beat both like was obviously, you know, they both had a match. He did that, the uppercut that he does, knocked 3 of Eddie Kingston's teeth out, was meant to have a rematch as part of the feud. The second part of the feud never happened, which obviously Eddie Kingston was meant to win for the feud to go that one win apiece. This was obviously when he was in the Indies. Obviously, he then got signed to WWE, which was meant to be the second match before he went to WWE. It never happened. This is why Eddie Kingston's been pissed ever since, because he was guaranteed a second match, which he was due to win, to then have a final match later down the line, like a winning, a rubber match, which Eddie Kingston never got the chance to do, and that's why he's been pissed ever since. Because, like he said on Twitter, now he's arrived, he goes, "Oh, I see you finally had the balls go up," which is reference to him saying, you finally decided to run with your tail between your legs and finally show up and face me.
Are we going to see this feud return?
I would probably see maybe a tease tonight.
Alright guys, I'm gonna head off for tonight anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, that's fine. Totally.
So I'll catch you. Maybe you'll still be talking tomorrow, probably, because it's starting to talk about.
Yeah, probably.
Alright.
Thanks.
Catch up with you guys tomorrow.
Thanks for that, Scott.
No worries.
Thank you, mate. See you later.
Yeah, as we're saying, obviously, the beef in the storyline, there's proper real heat between them. Yeah, like I say, Blood and Guts is tonight. I could still see the Blackpool Combat Club winning, but I could see them winning, and then maybe Eddie Kingston might be a bit jealous that he was going to get the win for the team, and Claudio maybe takes gets the pin instead of Kingston, and Kingston gets pissed off, and then that's where it all fuels up again, and then maybe that maybe real life punch thrown, who knows? Maybe that would be the case. Only time will tell.
Thanks for your take on that. You've explained it more in depth there. Like I said earlier on, there was something going down with Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston at the end of the match. Maybe that explains it. Was he annoyed with Jon Moxley about him returning?
There was indication of what the hell just happened, but at the end of the day, it was Daniel Bryanson's choice to replace him. So maybe Kingston should have a bit of beef with him for choosing Claudio, but like you say, it could plant the seeds for the match tonight. I know obviously he's not clear to beat Bryan Danielson, so maybe he's just watching from ringside. He might be on the commentary desk, or he could be just watching on from ringside, and Kingston could shout on you, maybe give him a few swear words in between as the match goes on, like, "Why have you picked this person?" It's like you say, he's been You know, there's beef between them, real life heat. You know, to be honest, it's just all watch this space tonight, really. Got to watch it to believe what's going to happen next.
It was revealed that Bryan Danielson would be unable to compete at this show. He promised a worthy replacement to face Jack Sabre Jr. The former Cesaro from WWE came out as Claudio Castagnoli. And I tell you now, these two gave everything, and these two are great at a lot of times. But above all else, this was absolutely two best technicians in the game of wrestling, and it was absolute slobber knocker. This match was just as good as Cassidy and Ospreay or Storm and Rosa, and it was completely, absolute a technical clinic. It was just what the crowd wanted. It touched everything from brilliant performances, and again, the right man won. Castagnoli, what is your thoughts on this?
Like I say, it was that hard hitting match. I think, like I say, the way he just come out there, you know, uppercut here, uppercut, and then he tried to do the neutralizer straight away, finish it. So whether it seems to me like that was kind of like a bit of a heel move. You know, tried to beat him straight away. It's like big pop for the entrance, like, oh yeah, his face. So, you know, could the stable like slowly become like fully heel? You know,
possibly.
You know, could they become AEW's version of the Shield, maybe? You know, could the are they on a mission of how the Shield was?
Interesting, yeah.
You know, go through the AEW roster and just randomly go on missions and attack people.
It would be brilliant, yeah, to see that go down. That they've got a great manager in William Regal. Again, the perfect guy for the job to manage all three of these men. You've got a great technical clinic in the former Cesaro. You've also got another technical clinic in Bryan Danielson, and then you've got a former Shield member. You know, a great brawler in the likes of Jon Moxley. And I tell you what, does there need to be any more entered into this faction? I know they've got Wheeler Yuta, but other fans have said that Wheeler Yuta is out of place in this faction.
I disagree. I think everything fits into place now, storyline wise. Because you could have Regal and Moxley focusing on the world title picture. Wheeler Yuta, you can have him focus on defending his Ring of Honor championship that he has. So we can go on that the singles run. And then obviously you're left with Claudio and Danielson.
Yeah.
Maybe they could form like the tag team route, and obviously like Danielson did start off a tag team like with Moxley, but obviously Moxley's gone on to better things at the moment. So maybe like the way Danielson's been injured, maybe he could like be in the tag team scene for a bit with Claudio. You know, who knows?
What are your thoughts on the Claudio match with Jack Sabre Jr.?
I was quite surprised actually. I thought, oh, maybe at first, like when they didn't announce it, that the person would have been a new member of the Combat Club, I thought, yeah, maybe Zack Sabre Jr.'s got this, whoever they pick. But then when they said, oh, it's a debut, it's going to be a new member of the Combat Club, I thought, it's like, they're very interesting swerve, and it's like, well, if it's going to be like a new member, it's like, you're not going to let the new member of the Combat Club lose on his debut. So that's when I kind of thought, yeah, you've got to go back, you've got to go with new Combat Club member, to be honest. But at first, I did have my thoughts that Sabre he was going to win.
Yeah, I thought the same, and then my mind changed when it was Cesaro, who, well, we kind of predicted it. Like, I did say Shane McMahon at first. I thought it would have been an absolute great swerve if that ever happened, you know. I knew it wouldn't have happened. But other fans were talking about it if Shane McMahon pulled the swerve on WWE and he turned up at in AEW. Would that have been interesting if he'd have rocked up in AEW?
Would have been like a lot to talk about if he did decide to show up in AEW. It might cause a bit of a family friction on that kind of wavelength, but it was Claudio all along. I thought it was. In my opinion, I thought it was like one or two people. Thought it was either going to be him or Johnny Gargano, in my opinion.
Yeah. What is your rating for this match?
I'd give it 3.5.
A 3.5. I'm gonna give it a solid 4. I thought it was an absolute classic. It was very entertaining. Again, it was a technical clinic. There were great performances from both men. They gave it their all, and just like what you said, like, you know, it was great to see a guy like Cesaro come back and is in, as like what Scott said, is in the right place, you know, in All Elite Wrestling. You know, they're more wrestling focused, pro wrestling focused, and I think he's in the right place, especially with this kind of pay-per-view. You know, NJPW is more pro wrestling based as well, and for him to, you know, you could even have him working over NJPW. Would you? What are your thoughts on that?
What, sorry?
Claudio Castagnoli going over to NJPW, work a few guys over there.
I say it's maybe it's possible. Could do a couple of weeks. He could do obviously you've got the possibility of Ring of Honor as well. So I think now he's got Ring of Honor, I think he could do a bit of Ring of Honor more than New Japan, in my opinion.
The next match. Jay White versus Adam Cole versus Hangman Adam Page versus Okada for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. What are your thoughts going into this match?
I thought it would have been like, on cards, you're like, whoa, even a full former champions in their own right. Watching the match and what I heard about the match beforehand, and actually watching it through, I was kind of, like I've seen the reviews on the match. I'm kind of disappointed and confused in a way of how the ending went. Yeah, fair enough. Like, now that Adam Cole got concussion, but Okada and Jay White quickly whispered to the referees, like, "Listen, we've got to end the match this way," which shouldn't have been the way anyway. The referee got the ending totally wrong. That's what I've been hearing on along the rounds. That the referee got the ending wrong. Obviously, Jay White quickly told the referee to end the match. I'm going to pin him because he's legit hurt. And that's where you saw the medics were on the outside straight away because they knew Adam Cole was seriously injured. But to end it the way they did, for everyone to use, they should have done it another way, really. Either, storyline wise, go say, "Oh, Adam Cole's been taken out, he can no longer continue," and to maybe carry on the match as a triple threat, maybe. Don't give the fans what they want, but play into the storyline like, oh crap, Adam Cole can't go anymore. But still give the fans what they want. Someone could have ran down, whispered to the back, go, "Yeah, we're carrying this match on. It's a triple threat now. We're going to go with it." As the saying goes, the show must go on.
But either way, it was still a classic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
100%, definitely classic. Yeah, I'm kind of lenient to that, but I'm kind of confused because obviously I haven't been on social media yet. But I did hear things go down. Could you elaborate on the Adam Cole situation?
Apparently, what it was is when Okada did the drop kick and Adam Cole went flying into the turnbuckle, and as you can see, like, he went like the back of his neck went full whack into the turnbuckle, and he was like laying on the ground for a while. Apparently, like, when he slowly got back up, and it was the two good guys, the two bad guys, that having to stand up against one another. You could tell that Cole was like, what they call that, brain mist. Tell he wasn't all there. You can tell something was wrong. It's just like, about 5 minutes after that, he had a headbutt to the head as well. Probably made it worse in my opinion. And you could tell, oh god, the headbutt actually did it and made Cole even worse.
Should the ref have stopped the match?
I think he should have done what I said. Cole could have just, he could have just rolled out the ring safely. Obviously, they could have pulled Cole away from the cameras, and then for the commentators to say, "Oh well, he's been taken out. He's been taken out of this match, and then obviously like on Dynamite they could have said, the reason why Cole got taken out of the match is he has got a legit injury. You know, they could have made it a bit storyline wise, and then obviously when Cole does come back, he'll say, "Well, I never got pinned." You know, he could have played on it, but at the end of the day, they have to play it safe, and fair play to Jay White to spotting it when he did, and tell the referee to end it there and then.
Again, the pay-per-view still gave us more, and you know we like 8 matches in, nearly 7 matches in, and twice on this night you've been given another fatal 4-way, you know, but this time for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, and NJPW willing to, you know, to risk their prestigious World Heavyweight Championship on the line. But you know, you got Jay White, Adam Cole, Okada, and Adam Page. What a clinic that is, you know what I mean? For, like what you said, for previous World Heavyweight champions. I'm gonna say this was an absolute slobber knocker. You know what? It was absolute brilliant. I didn't see what went down with what you said. I haven't been on social media enough to, you know, to listen up what happened with Cole. But again, if that was the case, then I would have liked to have seen down. I like to have seen what you said, what Jay White whispered to the referee. I thought that would have been the better way for Cole to leave the match, and then leave Jay White, Hangman, and Okada to settle this as a triple threat, and then maybe we'll see this again at some point, you know, further down the line with Adam Cole after he's come back. It was an absolute great match. You know, AEW and NJPW giving us another clinic here. It was everything that you wanted in a match. It was absolute brilliant. How are you going to rate this, Matt?
I'll give it another 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a strong 4. Yeah, I really truly enjoyed this match, despite what happened with Cole. You know, I think even if it was Cole who was concussed, I think it was wrong for him to take the pin as well. In my opinion, what are your thoughts on that? Should Cole have taken the pin?
Bit of a tough one, really. In my I think also it had to be one of the AEW guys, but maybe Page took the pin.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you could turn that into kind of like a storyline where he doubts himself, and then like a month down the line he's doubting himself even more, and that's where he could snap and go, "Come on, I'm meant to be the cowboy. I'm losing my grip. I'm losing my form." You know, that could have played into it. You know, it's a new. Out of it comes a new storyline. He's losing hope. He's lost what he once had. He's the AEW champion. He was on top of the world, and now he's hitting rock bottom. He's doubting himself. He doesn't know who or what to turn to, and then eventually, you know, he could snap, and then he could become heel. to find his way back to where he once belonged.
And if the pay-per-view, yeah, I agree with you on that. Like, I think it should have been like, if it was Cole who was concussed and he was injured, I think it should have been Adam Page who took the pin, really. But if the pay-per-view didn't give us any more, you know what I mean, they gave us another slobber knocker in the likes of Jon Moxley and Hiroshi Tanahashi for the AEW World Title. What are your thoughts before this, building up to this?
Like as the story says, Moxley has been trying to have this match for the past 3 years. Obviously, you know, due to COVID, and as far as I'm aware, it was like not sure which one of them had an injury as well. I think it might have been Tanahashi that got injured, and Moxley obviously went over to Japan to try and have a match and got turned down. So, like Moxley said in his promo package, he says, you know, after 3 long years, it's finally been accepted. You've accepted me. You know, and he calls himself the Ace, which is like Moxley has said to him in the face-to-face. There's only one ace in this business,
and that's
and
Moxley.
Moxley says, to be the ace, you've got to beat the ace. Which, in the end, Moxley did defeat the ace, and is, in his opinion, one of the best in pro wrestling.
I agree. I think Hiroshi Tanahashi is one of the all-time greats in the business, including Kenny Omega, and to have a victory on you know, to have a victory on Kenny Omega and Hiroshi Tanahashi under his wing, I think Moxley is making a statement in the wrestling world. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts of the match overall?
Could have been like more extreme. Could have gone on a bit longer, in my opinion. But other than that, it was quite a decent match, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought the same. You know, I think it should have went a bit longer. You know, because Moxley had the slight advantage because he's that kind of brawler. When it becomes in the ring, Tanahashi has got that technical advantage, and like what you said, to beat the ace, you got to beat the ace, and throughout this match, Moxley turned it more into a brawl than a technical match, which is Tanahashi's playground, and this felt very competitive in places. Like you can see Tanahashi trying to get the upper hand, making this into a technical playground, and then you see Moxley turning it into a brawl, and you saw that a lot throughout this match, and it was fantastic. It was a fantastic bout. I agree with what you said. I think it should have gone a bit further, you know, over the board here, and I wanted this to go into the crowd, to be honest. But it is what it is, and you know, you had several near falls. You had Moxley getting, you know, hitting hitting near close win, near falls pretty much on Tanahashi, and then Tanahashi doing the same. At one minute you're thinking Moxley getting the win, and then next minute Tanahashi's hitting one of his great moves, and then it turns into Tanahashi's gonna win this. I think this was a great main event, and two men, brilliant guys in professional wrestling there, and the outcome couldn't have been any better. And then Jon Moxley getting the upper hand over Tanahashi was absolutely grand. And I'm gonna give it a solid 4 here. A 4.4 here for me. I think if it went a lot further and it went into the crowd, or it lasted a bit longer, I would have given this a strong 5. And again, you saw Daniel Garcia, Jericho, Kingston, Yuta, Santana, Ortiz run down the ring, and then you saw Castagnoli join the fight at the end with this massive brawl at the end, and that is just pure gold. Like AEW, they could have shut that down, at the expense of Moxley winning the fight. You know what I mean? But this was AEW and NJPW giving us more, and bang, you have a massive brawl at the end. You know what I mean? This was like AEW giving the fans even more. And to be fair, I thank AEW and NJPW for giving us an absolute banger of a pay-per-view, and it's one of the best pay-per-views I've seen in a long time. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts for you of this overall of the pay-per-view?
I think it's like halfway the year nearly, and one of the best pay-per-views I've seen all year. From any company, this is really set the standard. I think this year.
Is this AEW setting a standard for WWE here?
I think WWE got like a lot to work on with the pay-per-views at the moment, and that felt like an old NXT takeover. Ali used to put on the pay-per-views.
I agree with you. That felt like an absolute clinic of an NXT pay-per-view. It was under Triple H's control. You know what I mean? Like this was absolute a clinic. I can't say anything more about it. Like it's one of the best pay-per-views, like you said, one of the best pay-per-views I've seen all year, and probably one of the best I've seen in a long time. What are your, just a summary of Blood and Guts for you, and then we'll wrap this up.
Like a prediction, Mark.
Yeah, predictions. Yeah.
I could probably see, like I say, tension between, like I said earlier, between Eddie Kingston and Claudio. If I make a prediction, I would say that obviously they've got the man advantage anyway, the Jericho Appreciation Society. I'm going to go one further and say that not only that they'll have a one-man advantage, I can see it being a two-man advantage. I can see Eddie Kingston saying, you know what, fuck you, pardon my language, but I can basically see Eddie Kingston basically saying maybe to Moxley or to even go, if he's, as long as he's in this match, I'm not going. With
what you've just said there, I'm going to predict it's going to be Jericho Appreciation Society that are going to win this match. I'm simply being on the basis that Eddie Kingston turns on John Moxley and the Blackpool Combat Club.
I'm going to say, like Scott said earlier, obviously that they made the Jericho Appreciation Society win for a reason. I can see the disadvantage going against the Blackpool Combat Club, but
to get the upper hand.
But like I say, I could see Claudio being like on his own up against five of them, and you know like the greatest of comebacks, takes them all out on his own, and gets the win for the team.
Gets the win for the team.
Because, like I say, it's basically AEW's version of War Games as well. So it's like, it's not exactly first one to a pin. It's the first team to surrender. So, that's going to be a total different ball game as well. It's just going to be one big, massive brawl.
What are your thoughts on this? It's like AEW can't give us anything more. It's like they're a company that keeps on giving. You know what I mean? You've had Forbidden Door, a fantastic pay-per-view, and then you got another one tonight. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you just know how Tony Kahn likes surprises. So before showtime has Tony got a trick up his sleeve for this big kind of pay-per-view special?
Are we going to see in the future AEW in the crosshairs of WWE? At this rate?
Well, with the way they've been having like favours, that down the line, never say never. Maybe it's like a one-time deal. Maybe a superstar shows up on a show as a one night only thing. I could possibly see that, but not as like a full-time thing. But as a one night only deal, I don't see why not.
Would you like to see a Forbidden Door, like what you said, if it's a one-time deal? Would you like to see it happen with WWE?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't mind it seeing like if they turn it into like a Survivor Series kind of pay-per-view. AEW, WWE in New Japan. It's like a separate pay-per-view maybe.
What, three companies versus each other?
Yeah.
That would be brilliant. That would absolutely be brilliant. But are WWE passionate enough to do that?
I think it all depends on WWE's schedule. But then again, you could maybe WWE could make the suggestion instead of AEW this time. Maybe have it in Saudi Arabia, maybe.
You mentioned surprises. What surprises are we going to see in the next few months, you'd say? Prediction wise.
Maybe a couple of surprises for the Ring of Honor roster. Obviously, that will be up and running again. Maybe the 6-man tag championship. Maybe that will come into play. Debuts wise, can't really. Can only think of maybe one really. Maybe Sasha Banks. Other than that, I can't really think of anyone really at this moment.
Do you reckon she's gonna go AEW?
Well, according to social media, Sasha Banks was technically released from her contract on June the 10th in a very, very silent way.
What do you mean?
According to sources, WWE are desperate to try and get him back on the company. But at this precise moment, Sasha Banks has been released since June the 10th.
So she can go anywhere else if she wants?
Depends on how she got released.
Would she go back?
In my opinion, I don't think she will.
What is going wrong with WWE? Like, a big name like that you would want on the roster, wouldn't you? Especially a wrestler like Sasha Banks. You know, she can pull off some great matches.
I think maybe it's the bad attitude, because like, how many times she's done this now? It's like, second or third time now. I think, didn't she have it twice when she was with Bayley, and now she's done it with Naomi?
Well, what's happened?
Obviously, like when she was tag champs with Bayley, she wasn't happy then. Obviously, she was tag champ when she was with Naomi, and obviously she wasn't happy with the direction as when she was SmackDown Women's Champ. So, that's like 3 times she's been unhappy, either with Vince or creative. She's like basically having a tantrum. So, are AEW kind of wary on that? It's like, if she doesn't get her own way, she's gonna throw a dummy out the pram.
Throw a dummy out.
So, are AEW kind of hold back on that for the time being? See what the request or position is.
I would love to see her go to AEW, but it's kind of what you said. I think Stephanie McMahon will be trying to get her back onto the roster as much as possible, especially with the likes of CM Punk. They've got Daniel Bryan. They've now got Claudio Castagnoli. So, if they get Sasha Banks, it's gonna cause some ripples in the crosshairs of WWE, especially in terms of NXT. Would you say?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think we're going to wrap this up for now. We've touched a lot of topics today, and I thank you, appreciate you being on this podcast, and I'll tell you what, Forbidden Door was absolute classic. I'm going to watch it again later. You enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll probably do a blood and guts at some point. We're on Wednesday, aren't we?
Yeah.
Probably tomorrow or Friday. We'll do blood. We'll do blood or guts, depending on if you've watched it. Right, you enjoy the rest of your evening, mate, and catch you back on here to do some wrestling again. Way!
Way!
See you later, mate.